It's only a year old.
That I sent.
Really?
I can't get it to print. Okay, whatever.
Well,
Okay,
I
are
did it on this
we
computer.
almost?
Double check the live stream.
Okay.
I'll get the Wi-Fi password, should I need it?
Should be working.
Okay, I just wanted to do that just in case. Okay, if anybody has not seen the September, oh, you weren't here in September.
I saw it on the phone.
Okay. So if anybody needs to look at the September minutes, I don't know if they've been circulated, but I know you've seen it,
I've
and
seen
I've
them.
seen it. Ken's the only one who may not have seen it, I don't know. And then we sent the November one, and then October, we did not have a meeting. So,
Town guest properties,
okay, so just let us know.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it yet, but it should be. Once it's live.
Oh, you're checking to see if it's live on the,
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's saying it's live, but whether I believe it or not, I don't know. That's green, that says it's live, so I'm just not seeing it on the YouTube channel, which is odd.
yep, I'm
Just
not seeing
letting you
anything.
see what I'm labeling it.
Okay, alrighty, good, alrighty, so, alrighty, I think we're ready to go, hopefully, and today is Thursday, December the 11th, 2025, this is the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, roll call, Dorothy Hill,
Lisa Beth Sandford.
Katie Burke.
Neil Murray?
and we have Luke Murray here as our staff liaison. Approval of minutes, we have September and then the November minutes. Does anybody have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Correspondence and public comment. Anybody have anything that, from the community that they've heard?
I've heard that the Department of Transportation is in their final stretch in making a tentative award to a vendor for the 138 corridor.
Okay,
They're not there yet,
okay.
so just to
wondered
be ready when
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
Because when it happens, I'm sure DOT is just going to want to. They'll probably first thing they'll start planting those two big posts with a sign that says "On Time, on Budget,"
Oh, there you go.
which
Sure.
may not allow for a lot
Yeah.
of community.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I saw that, I did see that, the parking lot at the, train station is gonna be expanded. 130 extra spots, or to have 130 spots, I believe. something
When
like
you
that.
saw it, did you see notice or was the work initiated?
I think I got a notice via, I don't know, I know the
I saw it on
newspaper
Facebook.
had
It was put-
something.
Yeah, it was put on individual cars around the lot, right, I did that. We
Okay.
had a meeting with their staff
Yeah.
the day before, and then we put it on social media.
Social media, okay.
I think it was on Our Town. I don't know, did you or I put anything on about it? Do you know?
No, but I got a copy of the notice from
You
DOT.
said you or I was on that call, so we were all notified and
Yeah.
we did push out quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. That's nice to have more opportunity. I think people need a place, know that they're gonna have a place to park when they go to the train station or bus station. And hi, Eric.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, that's okay.
Good.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
So we have Eric Axelrod visiting here,
Visiting, yes.
visiting and, providing input for us. Okay.
And again, in coordination with this committee, having the additional parking spaces there should free some of the spaces up on the arc approaching it for bicycle and pedestrian use
Yeah.
of the bike path.
Yeah. Great. Anything else?
I've just noticed, as I'm sure you have, a couple of those nice new traffic deflector posts have been whacked at 138 and Old North Road.
I was
So
gonna
they're
stop.
kind of working,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Better posts that can be replaced
I
than
did see somebody pull up and somebody go. They didn't knock anything down, but they did go around it. They were able to get
drive inside.
drive, not inside,
Squeeze by.
squeeze by.
Well, there's not that
Oh,
much room there.
Yeah,
There's
well,
not, so that other car must have pulled up a little bit more. But anyway, I think I haven't noticed that there's been any real delay for people on 138 with the people turning. I haven't noticed anything really crazy.
Yeah, that's good. Because
So-
I've heard that it may at peak hour traffic, it may back things up going down the hill, traveling westbound.
Okay.
But I haven't witnessed it, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't. We've been trying to be really good citizens and letting the South Road people out when they're
You're being
they're
kind
waiting.
and polite. It's wonderful.
The same here.
Yeah.
But it also provides the opportunity for people to make the left-hand
Yeah.
turn now safely,
Mhm.
and for pedestrians to cross. So the calming effect has worked.
I think so. Yeah, great.
But as you,
Yeah, I drive it every night. It does definitely during peak hour. It does back it up a little bit past the light, but I did see a couple of those posts right next to the
are
crosswalk.
not
Right.
down.
If you can get a car this way, I saw somebody go like this,
Yes,
which is
that's
very
what I was-
dangerous
yeah.
because if somebody's walking across, you can't see. You got
Yeah.
the car there, but
Yeah.
so a couple extra posts. I think they put a couple cones there. I think
Oh,
recently.
I haven't seen.
Oh,
Put some orange cones there to fill the
Okay.
gap. Somebody did. I don't know if it was.
Okay. I don't know how hard it is to put those back.
Well, you gotta reinstall it, so it's a mastic, that gets applied to the asphalt.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But now we're in cold weather, so it's like there's
Yeah.
thermal
I didn't know if it was
limitations.
gonna, it was something that would click in or.
There are those as well, and
Yeah.
we've done similar ones on campus on Flag Road, but, sometimes they just get filled with grit and dirt and,
Yeah.
The de-icing materials just corrode
Yeah.
material, so it's,
Yeah.
I mean, Neil, you pointed this out a while ago, that those are like, yeah, it's great, but as soon as they get knocked down, somebody's gotta replace them or else,
Yeah.
we're gonna repeat this all over again, so I think just monitoring what happens, and if we see one or two go, then you gotta call DOT and say,
Yeah.
get out there, replace them.
Okay. Alrighty. All right, staff report on town activities.
Try to keep it short. You know about the parking lot, so there's that.
Okay.
We did have a meeting, went through the whole thing. So they're talking, I believe, July of next year to get it all done and completed, with the exception of landscape, which is going to be done in October. Ken's Point, 138's rolling. I've been in communication with Bob Rocchio at RIDOT about a couple of things. One is trying to get an agreement on Old Tower Hill Road for a maintenance agreement, that the town would take over the maintenance of that and RIDOT would pay us. Second thing is I communicated to Steve Prestawa at RIDOT about the blocking sign on
you?
the RRFB.
It stood out to you now?
And he's gonna take care of it. And
Mhm.
I also in communication, which is on my schedule to do, I just haven't gotten out there. I need to get out and evaluate every single crossing where the bike path goes, because they had done some improvements to it,
Mhm.
but we wanna, with this potential opening up of the night, of putting the RRFBs pretty much at every crossing where it
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
And just seeing what, I know they did Ministerial Road,
Yeah.
but I don't know what they've done at every single crossing.
I mean, I have, and it's
I
a
know.
mixed bag of nuts, it's all different.
Well, that's the problem. Like, I think when we requested it, we had some requests to, like, even the pedestrian crosswalks going to like a green paint and having like consistency among all of them. And, they're like, well, what haven't we done? So I said, well, maybe the better approach here is that you go out, we do an inventory, and then I'll tell you where the gaps are and what our expectations are. So that way it's extremely clear.
Mhm.
So I don't think they're opposed to doing it. The biggest thing they said is striping and signage is easy because that's done in-house. As
Okay.
Kenny
Mhm.
probably knows, that's housed within their maintenance department. But if it comes into adding other,
Mhm.
then it gets more complicated. 'Cause
What
it
would
takes
other
time.
be?
Like wired RRFBs.
Okay.
Now, maybe the solar panel ones they could do easier because they can just put those in the ground and they don't have to have all the wiring that goes along with them. But, and they also expressed, obviously if it's crossing a town road, it's less likely they'll be able to assist. Like, they might be able to assist with signage, but any big hard infrastructure, which in some cases we're not looking for. We just want to make these things, give pause and make them quote unquote safe and consistent. I think consistency is the key. You come up, if you know what the deal is as you're approaching the intersection and all the intersections are the same, you kind of know what the deal is. The problem is, Peacedale is a perfect example. You got the blinking light. It's now they have the RFBs there now. Do they have them there now?
I'm not certain.
Still?
No.
No, not at the bridge, right?
Coming down the former bridge. They
Yeah.
have an embankment there.
They didn't add them there.
The place that would benefit for it better, though, is 108 on the other side, coming out
Railroad.
near J Bun, where you've got a turn there where people can't see coming around
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bit. So that would be state. The next intersection would be town as you're approaching towards the high school.
Church.
Church. Yeah, church.
Get through there.
But so it's a matter of where would the state fulfill its role? On state roads only?
It probably more likely on state roads. I'm going to try to get them to do it on all of them. But if but we'll see.
Okay.
They're more obligated on their own roads, right?
And you're looking for consistency. I mean, South Road has the blinking yellow light, but you would want consistency with the
The
RFB at every intersection.
Yeah, and to that point, it's like if the yellow beacon just flashes constantly, it's like
Yeah,
just
doesn't
You become numb to
Right.
it.
So the
right.
RFB with the infrared detector, I mean,
Yeah.
it goes off when there's somebody there. It doesn't. I mean, that's the whole point.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm working on it. It's in progress. Also, big thing for you guys. CIP is out. If you want to take a look at it, it's on the web. We have that plan issued. We're up about 4% from last year, 4 to 5% from last year. Not extreme. We're trying to add a little bit every year to cover the extreme inflation that we've been having. So we're basically just keeping up. But as I have noted, there's some new sections in there to cover some of the engineering services and things that I've spoken about before, which I think you guys are all aware of and can review. We put some buckets of money in there for that, and that is in line with your request that you
Okay.
had written up.
Okay.
So there's that.
So it's in there, and
It's in
when DPS, when Rich or Jamie goes before the town council to do their presentation for their department,
Yeah, it'll be.
those items will be in there.
Yeah,
for them.
under Rich's, I think it's under Rich's budget.
Okay.
Is the kind of, I forget it. I'll come back to you with the categories we created because I'm the one who created them. I'll look it up.
Okay.
But essentially, there's two pockets of money. One is for the engineering type services and the professional support services. That would be the things like the traffic studies. When they meet certain kind of warrants, that we'd order out a traffic study and say, okay, we're going to take this to the next level based on the data we're seeing, and then get back recommendations that we can implement. The second pot of money is low cost improvements. So it's some of
Right.
this low hanging fruits you guys have talked about, things that we can implement in short term. The other thing we did add is roadway enhancements. So we have the paving maintenance budget, which is traditionally what we've always had. The first project inside that enhancement is Kersey Road. So you'll notice that's in there as far as a
Okay.
long-term project. We have engineering done on that, but if memory serves me, I think the cost was in the $800,000 range to add a sidewalk to that one side of the street. Just for perspective, that's equaling almost our entire budget for pavement for the year. So without outside state assistance and other things. So, it's not our, I hate to say it, but it's not our current priority.
Right.
Obviously we have to prioritize paving, but it's in there. So at least the council knows, like, if we get grants, if we get outside money, or we bond, or they find money, who knows, COVID was going to happen, right? At least it's in the CIP to eventually be funded.
Okay.
There's that.
Okay. So we can all look at that now, and that's right off of the town's website.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go under finance, or if you go under town council, you'll see budgets,
Okay.
and you
Because
can
I
find the
always
budget.
have a hard time finding things.
We're in a little bit of transition. We're redoing
I
the
know.
website. We're actually putting the budget. I don't know if it's done yet, but I've asked them to put the budget in with finance, which makes more sense for the
Okay.
average user. Because that falls under finance.
Because sometimes just typing in under search
Yeah, we're aware. It's a thing. It's a whole nother project I'm
Yeah.
working on. Is trying to revamp the website so it's more user friendly. So
So we'd be able to go in and find the CIP that was.
correct. Yep.
approved.
Yep. It's public as of December 1st.
Okay, it's not been approved.
No.
It's the draft.
So January 5th and 6th, we'll have the first meetings. Those are just presentations. So one meeting's on schools, capital
Okay.
budget. So you probably won't be as interested in that one. But the town's CIP, I believe it's
I think that one was first.
fifth?
The
Fifth?
and
Yeah.
then the school was the sixth.
So on the 5th, the department directors go up individually and present their own capital budget. So that's not really a main
Right.
public input session. I believe we usually have public comment, but that's not the one. That's not the hearing.
Right.
Later on, we have the hearing, which I think I sent you the
Yeah,
dates
that's
on.
towards the end of
And
the
that's,
month.
but, I encourage you to communicate. You can send written correspondence, you can show up for the hearing, and then any public comments.
I sent Rich the same document that we sent to the town council with listing everything, because I just wanted to make sure that he knew that we were trying to back him up, support him on it, so, and I don't know if he would mention that, I don't know.
Yeah, I
if
know
he
we
would,
got
but-
it, yep.
Okay.
And it's good. I think, we're hoping we can help move the ball forward on this as well. So, I mean, high school's ongoing. If you've been following the project, that's trudging away.
Yeah.
Foundations are being dropped, yada, yada. If you have any other specific questions, I'm glad to answer them. I don't want to take up a lot more of your
Yeah.
time.
If there's, I'm kind of stepping back to the bike path.
Sure.
If you need any assistance, if that's appropriate, in kind of looking at each of the intersections, I'd be willing to help you out with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm also interested, not just from, is there lighting, but I find especially, the sections, the crossings from like 108 as you head towards Belmont, small streets,
Mhm.
they're blind.
Mm.
There's a lot of blind crossings there, where it's you as a bicyclist can't see, and
Yeah.
the cars can't see. So you actually almost have to put yourself into the intersection to look to see whether things are there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly take the help because
Yeah.
I'm a busy guy. So
So when you're talking about the inventory,
Yeah.
basically,
How
I want
would
to
you
take
like it?
what I was going to do is go out, take a few snapshots each one, register what's there, what signs are there.
Okay.
Is there a crosswalk? Is there any signalized? Is there an RFB there? Is there a blinking light? What is there? And then essentially, what's the concerns? Like, what are we trying to address? And then what would be recommended? Like, what would be our ideal if we were going to do it? Now, that said, we may not get everything we ask for, but I at least want to tell them there's two things. Ken mentioned this: consistency between intersections, and then what's the ask, right? And
Yeah.
again, lower cost is better for them, but if the ask is bigger, they can always peel us back and say, they might say, you know what, next time we're going to be redoing that roadway in a couple of years, and next time we do it, we'll do it.
Yeah.
That might be the answer, but why not swing for the fences? But I want to do this now because, quite frankly, I don't know how long the existing administration is going to be there. The way things, there's a lot swirling, and there's an election coming. So, we have a good relationship with the current administration, and it's been good. It may flip over, it may not. But if it does, and some of these people are getting older, so they're heading towards retirement. So we just want to try to strike while the iron is hot, and we have these relationships that we've built. So that's my goal anyway.
You're talking about the state.
The state, yeah, they've been good with South Kingstown of complying with our request. They did Kingston Road. They've been helpful. But these relationships are built over years. The town manager has a good relationship with a lot of these people because of his office and state. But once you lose those relationships, it's not you can't get it done, but you fall into the mix with everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have people like when we call and they say, "Hey, how you doing?" and you can express things and have an honest conversation. That's always helpful.
Would we want to create a subcommittee to go out and just do the inventory?
Work group.
A work group?
Yeah, if you guys want to do a work group,
Yeah. I think it'd be helpful too if you had some kind of checklist. So you go to each spot, you're going to have a picture, but then what's there, and then what's not there.
Couldn't we create that as
Yeah.
we go along?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you could create an Excel spreadsheet that basically has check boxes and like like a standard sheet. For each intersection, you have a sheet, and boom, boom, boom. If you guys want to work on that and then pitch it to me, I'll take a quick look at it and say, here's my recommended. Come up with a sheet. If you want to go out and do the inventory, I'm more than glad to have you guys do it.
That's something I think we could do, and that could be fun for us.
Yeah.
That would be helpful to me.
What would be ideal recommendations? We've talked about RFP, Bs as being a consistent one. Striping, and if you're encouraging nighttime riding, reflective striping or standard white striping. You know, what features should we consider for uniform safety practices? If the group, as they assess, can come up with the ideal, that might be the best.
I think that's the thought is as we assess it, we can come up with what is there, what could consistently be the best.
Well, so from an
And
engineering perspective, every crossing is unique, and that's unfortunately not, psychologically, it doesn't make a ton of sense, because people ride on the bike path, and they just know the bike path.
Mhm.
So, what you're trying to do is just, I think basically if we just analyze the intersections and document what's there, we can speculate as to what the best
Mhm.
practice is, but then really what we're doing is you lob it over to DOT.
Okay.
Say what we want is consistency for bicyclists and also for the vehicles. Every time there's a bike path, they should know that there's something that's consistent, you know?
Okay.
So maybe a unique sign for this is the bike path other than just any other intersection.
Well,
You might have more
Well,
bikers
some of those
coming.
exist, so you could see that
Yeah.
those are there. You have to not just do it along the bike path, you have to do it at the roads along, 100 feet before the bike path to see what they have.
Okay.
And then, and I'm sure that there's some consistency throughout the state.
Well, it's kind of like,
Hopefully.
you look at like the interstates, it's like, well, the signage is all the same, the geometry is kind of the same, you know what I mean? It's you want that philosophy overlaid on a bike path. It's different, and, yeah, I don't think this is the easiest solution, because a lot of these intersections have been improved over time. So you see a snapshot of what the current ideology is, for each crossing. It's evolving. So the more recent one was Ministerial Road, when they put the flashing beacons there.
Yeah.
And then there's been modifications at Railroad Avenue. That was, so it was some signal there, but then they amended it with some, I think, motion detectors.
It's not quite motion detectors, and you have to go
gotta
to the
press the
opposite
button.
side of the
Yeah.
street
Yeah.
to press the button. So if you're on a bike, you have to go to the opposite side of the street. If you're walking, you're fine.
Yeah.
It'll make it safer for the bear and deer too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you want to come up with an inventory sheet, I mean, you can opine on anything,
Yeah.
Maybe you can have a comment section where you just say, hey, we think this. It's fine. I mean, we could, it's all recommended. To Ken's point, there's also an engineering practice to this. They're the experts, ideally, right, to do this throughout the state. So I'm not going to tell them their job. I'm going to tell them our goals, and then ask them to try to come up with some sort of consistent method to,
Yep.
with some reasonable requests.
Okay.
So.
Good.
Should we set up that work group now? Do we have to do a motion to do that? What are we supposed to be doing here?
Well,
It wasn't actually on your agenda. I
No.
just gave a report out, but
Yeah.
you can certainly discuss it and come to some sort of consensus. I mean, it doesn't have to be an action item.
yeah, I think we can, who's interested in working on that? Eric?
I am.
Okay. There we go. There's our working group.
Okay.
All right.
Because
You
you
guys.
both ways.
So Lisa, if you want to reach out to me
Yeah.
with your thoughts on kind of a checklist, if you want to come up with a framework, and then I'll be glad to work with you on it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
I was sworn in as a refreshed member
Thank
of the
you.
committee.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks. We're all legal.
Yay.
We're all legal now.
All are now in good standing. Okay.
Now we just have to get Eric to be legal.
So, Alrighty, so moving on, old business, discuss BPAC recommendations to the town council on Old Tower Hill neighborhood plan. So I had sent this out to everybody. I made a copy for everybody, so we didn't have to look over on an overhead or anything like that. And I think basically, you know, how to word it is one thing. I think that we just, what do we want included in this form-based plan? We want to make sure that it includes sidewalks along the roadway, you know, for businesses, for developers, you know, that's adjacent to their property. We want to make sure that people can link with sidewalks. So the sidewalks, so we don't have this like in front of the police station where there was a sidewalk and then there was a duplex that was built and there was no sidewalk, and then there was the, you know, then the sidewalk continued. So whatever, we just need to have the wording in there. And I don't know that it's not in there. I think that from what I read, and this is the Old Tower Hill Road, the form-based codes that they're reworking. And it's just for that area, so it's not for the whole town, but I think some of the examples are from around town, because we see where there's gaps and issues. And I just wanted us to make sure that we've discussed and thought about what we want to see in it to make sure that we don't have some of the things that have happened around town, such as, you know, Wakefield Meadows, that creates this block. You know, it blocks pedestrian movement. You know, so you can't really, if that apartment complex goes in over by what is it,
The Schneider Electric site?
No, this is off of Route 1.
By South County Commons and the hotel.
Yeah, yes.
Hampton Inn, yeah.
What is it, District 5 apartments? That if that happens, there's no way for those people to get to Wakefield, to get to Shaw's, or to get to South County Commons without having to come out onto Route 1, without having to drive. So that particular example is outside of this area that they're discussing, but I just want to make sure that something like that doesn't happen within the Old Tower Hill neighborhood plan. So I just wanted to make sure. I ran the wording by you guys a while ago, and I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to provide some input on it. Here's the, if you wanted to look at it. I don't know if I have another, I don't have another copy. And I think the other thing is, and I don't know if this is something that would make its way into the code, but that when a developer is not required to, or says they won't put in a sidewalk or provide a right-of-way, what is the town willing to do? Is the town required to indicate that there are gaps that they are going to fill? Like if that sidewalk gap between the police station and the Dollar General, if the developer didn't come through and put a sidewalk in there eventually, would the town be required to do that?
I would venture to say if you put that into the zoning or into the ordinances, as a developer, I'd be like, there's this little thing where I don't have to put in this sidewalk. The town eventually will have to put in the sidewalk. And why would I want to spend my money on that? I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
If that's that's in the zoning ordinance.
I just want to make sure that we have this opportunity to provide input before it's kind of locked down.
But I think, to your point, and we've talked about this before, I think the issue is that there's certain things that the town should be able to reasonably compel private developers to do, although they have, their own rights as property owners, and you can't be, you can't come on them like a ton of lead and say, hey, you want to go here, put sidewalks a half mile in each direction, So what that is like government. It's like, and I think I shared with you the example of there are impact fees.
Mm-hmm.
So as you start developing and you need more schools, you need more recreational facilities, there have been uses of impact fees to help offset future costs that are not perfectly defined for the town to administer at a later date. So I don't know what the solution is, and I think our group has gotten in where we're seeing a lot of infill development, and we're seeing missed opportunities, and it's not perfectly the developer, and the town certainly doesn't have a mountain of cash at their disposal. So it may not be specific into this code, but it's just an open discussion, and maybe more so for Luke to
Yeah.
kind of consider.
Well, does the town have, and this is going outside of this discussion on Old Tower Hill Road, but does the town have an inventory of missing sidewalks? Like Curtis Quarter Road, there are these chunks where there's no sidewalk, and then there are neighborhoods that kind of feed into Curtis Corner, and then in order to get to the park, there's no sidewalk for some of that.
So I think your point, it's like, it's easy to say the reverse. It's like, I think the town has an inventory of sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
So by, the opposite is that, well, don't look at those sidewalks, and that's where they don't have them. So the bigger question is, where should they be?
Mm-hmm.
And that's more of a policy issue, and that's more of just connectivity, and to your point,
Mm-hmm.
well, there's a neighborhood here, but then the school's over there, or the business is over there, or the RIPTA stop is over there.
Yeah.
So that honestly was what we took up 7 years ago when
Yeah.
we started the master plan effort, and we did that SWOT analysis, and we chunked up the villages in the town, the bigger population densities, and we said, okay, how do you get from Uskapog to Matunic? Just weird things, and it's like, okay, well, there's a state road, and then there's a path here, and there's, so we just highly qualitative, not quantitative. I can't boil it down to a formula. It's kind of feel, it's like, well, I would never do that, but some people might, and then it's kind of a judgment call. That's how we assessed it 7 years ago, and we came up with these corridors, and it seems to be similar to what the state planning group did with their mobility plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, they said that Ministerial Road should be a massive corridor, and I'm like, yeah, but no, because it's a sensitive, environmental area,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I get it. It's a total straight shot right up to the university, but I don't know, It's
Yeah.
like I worked with Bill Portman I'm not sure if you were on that hike. We went from Kingston, and we marched all the way through to the bike path and came out on Ministerial and made our way to Uskapog.
Mm-hmm.
And for that short stretch, the scouts are just like, you're walking in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary.
But it's designated as a scenic highway as well, so that could be a limitation on ministerial.
Yeah, and to that point, that was done as a result of Rhode Island DOT back in the late '80s saying, oh, we're going to widen and flatten this road to put, to make it modern.
Mm-hmm.
And they got massive pushback from the community.
To your point, though, mandating access on private land is probably something that would be prohibited. I mean, you talk about cul-de-sacs and such. I mean, right now there's a lawsuit regarding the beachfront access, regarding right-of-way and taking of property and such, and that may fall to that. Impact fees could be available, to implement and design and put sidewalks in. The sensitivity I can see the town council on that is one more thing on housing affordability in South Kingstown if you start to assess impact fees onto properties as well. The capacity of the town to perhaps do that. I know, having dealt with it with Teft Hill, that I think on a road along a town roadway or so, the next 25 feet or so, the town seems to be responsible for down trees, things like that, along adjacent to town roads. I know that somebody at Teft Hill brought that up at one point in time. Perhaps it's surprising to you, or you're not familiar with it.
No, I have to remind myself, but obviously anything in the right of way, we have a tree warden. If there's anything with regards to town trees within the right of way, that's our responsibility. Within the jurisdictional area, I think you have to get permission. I think what you're referring to is we do have the tree warden that will do an assessment, but I can't remember an ordinance.
So is the right of way
buffer
barrier
is.
stretch for town determination of what's a town tree?
Yeah, and
A
I
certain
don't want to
number of
speak to it
feet,
because I'm not
certain
the
number of
expert
feet
on
from
the
center
trees.
of road.
Yeah.
But you run into that as perhaps an option, but then again, it's to put it, that's to manage trees versus put in a sidewalk by the town through means of a impact fee. But the taking of land, I just see big battles. And the requiring of a right of way, they'll say, is effectively a taking of land. Not that I'm not supportive of
Yeah.
having that access,
And I guess
but
one
just
of-
trying to discuss where the hurdles and where the opportunities are.
I was thinking of, and I don't remember the name of the neighborhoods, but it's like, what is it, Windmill and Laurel, those neighborhoods off of South Road.
That you can connect to Potter Woods.
And then they connect to each other. You can't drive into each, but there's a bike trail that goes through
Right.
those lots,
Right.
okay? And then there's a gap in the two lots. Then you can get out to Curtis, to the ball fields there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I'm talking about is in between lots, that there be maybe built in some kind of gap that in the future, if there's a park or I mean, it benefits the people in the neighborhood, so they don't have to go out onto, out onto the road. But it's an idea. I don't know. I don't know how that neighborhood, how that came about, that they did that on their own.
It may not have, and this is obviously a larger discussion.
Yeah.
This is a discussion that, really has to happen with the planning board. But you're also talking subdivision regulations. There are ways, and we had talked about what you can and can't do on a development basis, per development. If you broad brush change your development regulations to say subdivisions need to carry, to your point, a 50-foot right of way when it's adjacent to a public parcel or other, really premised more on the utility aspect. Like, we do this often, like we need an easement because if we have to eventually run water lines or sewer lines or whatever, like we'll require easements to be in certain developments. But it's got to be consistent across all development. So it's a much larger discussion. To your point about the missing connections, it's not that we don't know. Listen, do I know through Peacedale what the Dollar General is? There's a missing connection there? Yeah. The question is how to get it done.
Yeah.
And it's always, for us, on a boots on the ground level, there's a lot of priorities, right? So it's not about not knowing they're there. We know intuitively, many of us who've been around town, I drive around here too. Every employee here gets here somehow and they all see it. It's not that we don't know. It's just like, how do you get it? What do you prioritize and what do you get done? So, one of the things that it's nice to have plans. It's nice to talk about things, but ultimately the way things get done is what I found in government is a couple things. Good timing. Like, there's a grant that comes up and you happen to be working on a project and boy, it just happened to fall into place. Or there's a specific axe to grind, some community member, look at Kersey Road, right? That sidewalk. You think we would have been planning that had that not been for an individual really, going to council and grinding it out and trying to get it done, right? So there's got to be a committed effort to actually getting, and that's just one connection.
Yeah.
You guys are talking town-wide, right? So the only thing I would encourage, and this is the boots on the ground level, is, I understand the broad effort of the group. Like, you want to look at it all. You want to take it all on. You're like, yeah, the reality is, I'm going to tell you straight up, there's no way you can do it all. There's not enough money. We're a small community, right?
Well-
So how do you get, the win comes in one project at a time. One small planning effort, one tweak in the zoning, one tweak in the subdivision regulation, or maybe you just focus on that one missing connection. You say, how do we get this done? And you get that connection done, and then you go to the next one.
Well, but this puts it on the table for the Tower Hill project specifically.
Yeah,
Mm.
this
So you're
was-
not doing the whole town, this is specific recommendations for
Yeah,
our
I mean,
project.
you guys kind of devolved into the broader aspects.
Well, I was trying
Tying
to
back the
explain,
Tower Hill.
I was just trying to explain, this is what we've seen around town.
Sure.
And, we just want to make sure we would just want somebody to recognize that maybe the language needs to be put in so that doesn't happen if something can be written now as they're working on this new form-based code, I mean, if something can be written and put in there now that would stop some of these other things from happening, because it's kind of like, well, there's nothing we can do about it because we don't have the regulation for it. The planning board can't do anything because they don't have the
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
I'm talking more in broad
Yeah.
terms
But,
about. kind of a
again,
wandering
when
conversation.
you're talking about, well, we can't do everything, and I understand that. I mean, this is great being able to do this inventory for, have it for going to DOT, for looking at, we could have money down the road to do that. But I think the same is with the sidewalks. If we had something that showed all of the, the gaps that really would have the most people, benefit the most people. If we'd had something like that, I keep thinking about the ARPA money and how that money could have been used for something like that. And I mean, I think what you did in the town was nice in Wakefield with the planters and the benches, and I know we did that. There was a big study for the ARPA. How are we going to use this money? And I don't know. It was over $100,000 that was spent to look at how are we going to use the money. And then, I don't think we used it for any of those projects. But if we had a listing of, okay, well, when we have the money or when something comes up, these are the area, Curtis Corner Road, we're going to make sure that school children can get from their homes over to the ball fields for after school, for soccer, for whatever. It would be nice if we had some kind of listing of what the priorities are as far as sidewalks. I don't know.
It's in our master plan.
Yes, I know that, but
The
I
BPAC.
mean, it's something that the town, recognizes. Don't
Council
just
needs-
acknowledge.
Council needs to approve it.
Yeah,
That's all they need to do.
yeah. So, anyway, I'm getting away from our task at hand. So, I don't know that we're gonna finish this today, but I wanted everybody to have a chance to look at what we might say, what our input might be on that. And we can go back to Luke and he can compile what our thoughts are on that, or if we want to go item by item and just say, yes or no, or we could say this better.
And as it is, these are recommendations for the project. They can be accepted or they can be declined. So they are recommendations to put forward. So I don't see harm in recommending it if it puts it on the table for them to start to implement.
I just want to make sure our group
Is supportive.
is, because I wrote it up based on some of the discussions that we've had over the years. Things that we wish that, so anyway, what do you guys think? Do you want to?
I think that this looks good. I mean, I'm not really certain. Then-
Luke, what is the timeline for when there's gonna be, public hearing for that? Cause I think it's for the, Old Tower Hill Road neighborhood plan.
I would have to check with Jamie on that.
But it's not imminent. It's, I mean, it's not.
They're having work sessions now on it at
Yeah.
the planning board. So they've had work sessions along, looking at the plan, but I don't know the specific timeline as far as adoption of any sort of form-based zoning and where they're gonna come to an end. So I'd have to check with Jamie on that.
So,
Okay.
but it would seem that the sooner is better if you're having adoption planning versus coming in at the end of the process so that they can consider these.
Yes. Yeah, obviously, you wanna put it in front of them sooner than later.
And the submission would be to what
I
group?
would put it to Jamie, and you can CC Brian Wagner on it. But that would be your best because they manage the planning board. You can certainly include Maria Mack as the chair as well.
I don't have her email. I'll have to get that.
Yeah, I can give you that.
And it was Brian, what?
Wagner?
Wagner.
So is this Old Tower Hill neighborhood form-based code, is that online on the website, town website?
No,
To
I
read?
just, well, yes, well, I don't know.
There were meetings about 3 years ago
Well,
regarding it?
what I have is from a Dropbox I mean, I can,
Well, there's a
I
link to
can
the
send-
there's a whole website dedicated to just this.
yeah, but it's hard to find the report. I couldn't find it on our town web page.
Would it be under
I
planning
went
board?
back and looked.
So if you quickly let me know your email right now, Eric, I'm gonna forward it.
Download the work in progress.
Susan and Eric, SUSANANDERIC, at msn.com. Maybe I can just ask.
She may have it.
She may have it.
Okay, there's a link to it here.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I've got to figure out where I picked that up.
Did I send it to you?
Yeah, you did. It's been a while,
Mm.
but what I have is something.
Actually, I might have sent you the wrong.
Okay, let's see.
There's Kelly. She sent it to us a couple times. Let me do this. Susan and Eric at msn.com, right?
Right, yep.
I put the link in there in one of the what I just sent you guys recently.
Yep. This is much cleaner.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Jamie because I don't know if the draft is, because I don't see the draft on here either.
Old Tower Hill Road neighbor plan from October 7th of 2025. I found a site there. With the presentation.
Yeah, but what they.
It was posted on October 7th of this year.
Yeah, that may be it.
So this is the beginning
There's
of
a
it.
draft of the code on there.
Let's see.
Perfect.
It's under southkingstownri.gov/civic alerts.
And form-based code is a little different than,
The plan?
Yeah, that.
this is a July
Just a site.
2025 public draft.
Yeah, but that's not how you can. That's not the actual thing that I was. Okay, let's see. I sent it to you guys, so.
All right,
So
it's
this
out
is
there.
from an email sent to us by you on December 6th.
Yes, there we go. Okay, and it has a link
Mm-hmm.
from a Dropbox.
From a Dropbox.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's, I couldn't find that on the
On the front
website.
page of our website, under trending topics, down below, there's the Old Tower Hill Road neighborhood. Well, that's just a link though. you know.
Mhm.
This is, okay. I think July 2025. You've got something from October.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I see December 11th.
But I mean,
speaks
is
for
it
all.
the actual report? Is it,
Yeah,
does it look like, is it a report like this?
Let me go back.
This thing is, I don't know how many pages this thing is, at least 100. Yeah, because I tried to get to that from there too.
To this document.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one that's, the link is not even in, it's a link outside of the South Kingstown site.
Yes.
Old Tower Hill Road neighborhoodplan.com.
That's what I'm saying. That's the website specific for the project. And if you scroll down on the first page, there's a link to the draft. There's the form-based code draft from
Code workshop.
July 2025.
Okay.
Now, I don't know where that is in the review process with the planning board. That's what I don't know is how far along they are with the review process. I can get an update from Jamie.
Okay.
Dorothy, if you can just give me a ticker,
Okay.
just send me an email. Like,
Yeah, I
Should-
think one of the things that I did is I went through this and I just did a search for some of the keywords that I was interested in, like right away and you know, I'm not sure legally if I'm understanding the wording for it, so I'm not.
Should we
It's
make
not
it
my
an action
background.
item for the committee to review your document, submit recommendations, and perhaps in next meetings, look for approval for distribution to the Old Tower Hill
Sure.
Working Committee? So that we get it to them as early as possible with robust input from all of us.
Okay.
Again, apologies for being away.
That's okay. Okay, so I will make sure that we've got the most recent one, and then we'll share it from there. And then everybody just kind of.
Supported by review of the plan by
Yeah.
everybody who's providing
Right.
commentary. Thank you.
Okay. Business A, all right, let's get going here. Okay, so this is, okay, now we're up to B in the agenda with and Neil's framework document. And also, I printed off for everybody what Josh had written as well from a while ago, just in case there were some things that we wanted to include in that. And I thought yours was, Neil was it was comprehensive, and I know that, Luke, you saw it. Do you think that it passes? Do you think the town would feel okay?
we're talking about the
This is the-
CIP process.
Yes, the
The
community
community
advisory process.
advisory.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to get, obviously after this, I gotta convene
Mhm.
staff together to kind of get thoughts on this.
Mhm.
Because I haven't had a chance to really, I talked in broad terms with Rich and the chief.
Did you get any sense from them as far as?
No, I
helpfulness?
think they're not opposed to the project. Rich wasn't opposed to the process. I did communicate what we had talked about potentially having like an annual process where we'd maybe have a one-time meeting roll up about well in advance, which he was in favor of. He thought spring was good because that gives him enough time to really get it in his kind of mindset of, okay, here's the things we may want to put in. I've tried to get everyone here at a staff level also used to, everyone looks at the CIP as this concrete thing. And it's not, it's a plan, and plans change. So it's like, it's okay to put things in the plan, knowing that we may or may not be able to fund them. And I'm kind of shifting the mentality. So I think he's got that and he's okay with it. He's cautious only because he's like, he just doesn't want to sacrifice his paving budget either. But that's a policy decision, and that's a council decision. So if we put in, 5 or 6 enhancement projects in there, connections on sidewalks and other
Mhm.
things, we can do that. They can choose to do it or not do it. I think from where we sit at a higher administrative level, what that does for us is identify there are points where you eventually have to either bond money or you have to figure out other ways to pay for it. You know, many communities, you know, when interest rates were super low, that was the perfect time to maybe go ahead and take a bond and front load projects, right? But if you don't have them in the plan, and this kind of goes to what you were just saying, right, a little earlier. You know, you kind of know they're out there, and when the appropriate time, then you can hit. So these will help. So in answer to your question, no, I think they're on board with that as long as it can be done in an efficient process and in a logical process and doesn't, you know, kind of stir the pot more, you know, when he's getting the CIP where there's stuff that has to get done and there's stuff that we want to get done.
Right.
I think it provides the opportunity to notify the neighborhood in advance, get the pedestrian and cyclist and safety input or feelings from that community, digest them, and make the town council aware of them, realizing they have hard and fast, here's what our budget is, and here's what it would be for the low, no-cost enhancements to produce those for the affected areas. It also promotes community goodwill.
Hmm.
And that's why I think I also include here is upon final decision, communication mechanism back to those who attended the meeting so that they were heard, and here's what the resolution has come to. It works, I think, well for the town to have that, and it provides the support for the department heads that this process gets the community behind what might need to be done. It's, again, not anything to accuse, diminish, it's all solely to support.
Sure.
Yeah, and also I think, you know, having Chief Moynihan be part of it, then he can hear directly and people can say, this is what we see. This is, you know, because I think speeding is just an issue around town, everywhere, but I think that if he's there and people know that he's hearing their concerns as far as being able to walk their dog on the side of the road because there's no sidewalks there, or you know, just kids walking to school, people driving too fast through the neighborhood. I think that's good, and to have, you know, everybody there from the staff, instead of, oh, we've got to talk to the chief because we're really concerned about this, and then the chief has to see, well, is there money to put, you know, a stop sign, or can I do a study on the stop sign, or a crosswalk, or this has got everybody together. I think that
That was the goal.
makes some sense
That
to.
was the goal. And I did include in here specifically based on the conversation we have of not a stop sign at every intersection, not a speed bump every 100 feet type of thing, that consider the character of the neighborhood, that maintain it, but to put in something effective to make things safer, but not total control, to which would be bedlam in its own, to have people stopping at every intersection. So that was brought up in our discussions.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea of having the specific town people that it should be included, but I would also put not limited to with that. So in the next paragraph down, attendees on behalf of town government should include public services.
So it should
Please.
include, but not be limited to.
But not limited
Okay.
to.
So is the idea to try and bring Neil and Josh's plans together? Or are we just going with one or the
I
other?
think we're going with Neil's, but if there are some ideas within Josh's,
I think there are. So just kind of going back where I was last working at, they did a lot of this sort of stuff in Barrington.
Mhm.
and sort of building an understanding of what the community needs and wants as far as getting, walking, biking, whatever, like where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And a lot of the tools that they used for that, which was really successful, was some of the tools that Josh is laying out.
Right.
So I think it might be a good idea to maybe not use them all, but maybe try and accommodate some of these into this as well. Just a thought.
And to your point, I think like a couple of communities have done that type of an engagement successfully, are Providence and Newport. But if you look at how they're structured municipally, they have a planning staff and they have folks that are dedicated in-house to following this through. And there's usually boots on the ground advocacy groups that are highly engaged. So Providence has done a series of road diets, transformations of specific roads in downtown, North Main Street, Broadway, or West Broadway, I think. And but they were funded also. So they had the visioning, then they did, okay, we're going to put, some, we're going to call up or do a quick retrofit of an intersection, show you what things could look like. It was some place downtown. It was Fountain Street where somebody put like plungers. They just stuck them, in the roadway, just kind of a gag. But that's the Providence vibe.
Yeah.
So, so where there's a staff or there's an advocacy group. I don't know if we're there yet.
Right.
That can
I see.
motivate. If
have-
there's a
we have
base that we can
limitations.
motivate,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's a handful of locations. For example, Tower Hill Road, when that came up for resurfacing, DOT was just like we're gonna tear up the asphalt and the old rumble strip, and we're just gonna put more asphalt down. And we were able to get enough people interested, the business community and the various boards and commissions and police and public works and planning to also advocate, and we're able to flip DOT and get them to do a better design. It gets really sparse and like the Oak says a cluster, but that's going to be an interesting test case. You would hope to waft into that level of like that should be a community we can engage.
I would say these are, my first chance reading it now, far more robust, far more time intensive,
Yeah.
far more resource intensive than getting started by means of an annual meeting.
Right.
This could be a future enhancement, but we've got to get some groundwork.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that was, and he, he recognized too that we're asking a lot of the town
Yeah.
to do these. Now, we had talked about, Lisbeth and the group, as far as doing these walking, with Parks and Rec.
Yeah, we had talked about
And
that.
I mean, I think that we need to kind of
Open that up again.
look at that again, and maybe go to one of their meetings, the
Or-
rec commission meeting, or just
Or just talk to Terry.
Terry about it. Yeah, talk to Terry about it and
Or-
see if
or-
we can't get on their spring, program
Yeah,
list,
Yeah.
and then just do, a couple of us can go and just say, how do we get from here to here? And let's
Yeah.
just see how many people want to come and walk as kind of a walking group. That was such a good idea that you
it's a
came
good
up
idea.
with.
I'm great with ideas.
Yeah, you are.
Implementation is another.
Yeah,
thing.
that's
As
all
far
of us.
as far as this draft that I put together, are there any other points of input that people had regarding it? Again, this is laying a foundation to start with.
Yeah,
that
it's a
was
great
the goal from the
start.
meeting, and if we can get this out, and so that Luke has it with everybody's buy-in from this committee, then we can start to circulate and see what we could do, because
I
it
think
sound
this
like
is-
Game of Thrones, though it's spring is coming.
Yeah.
The motion to support the CMP committee advisory process as Neil has submitted.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I approve my work.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Luke, I'll send this to you
Yeah.
with a slight modification, with a
send it
but be
over.
not limited to.
Yeah,
added
the
to it.
only thing that I was, and I don't
Go
have
ahead.
my glasses on, but we said once a year, but I think that we also talked about if there was a specific neighborhood like the Oaks would you need to have something separate for that? Or would that, you just would expect the largest group of people from the Oaks would be there at that meeting? Maybe you wouldn't get as many people from some of the other streets that are in that plan.
Well, you will notice I put in here, conduct informational meeting, and then in brackets S.
Okay,
in
there
case
we
a
go.
secondary one is
We're all
needed.
good. Okey doke.
So if you send that over to me, I will, in the next few weeks, I'll set up a meeting sooner than later with the chief, like with internal staff,
Mhm.
to review this group's recommendation with them, to get feedback on the plan and make some refinements or whatever suggested by staff. Then I'll come back to you
Okay.
subsequently, kind of what we came up with, and saying, okay, here's the way we see it, maybe tweaked,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we can come to some sort of common ground on that. I always use a saying, don't let the great be the enemy of the good, right? So
Mhm.
I share your feelings on Josh's plan. Like, I think we need to kind of crawl before we walk. We're moving into a new process. And I also have change management on this side, so it's much easier to kind of say to staff, hey, we're going to have a once-a-year meeting, just start getting community comments. And you can build off that foundation,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So I will, I'll circuit internally, and I'll be back in touch.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right, C, discuss working docs of recommendations on 2026 CIP. And I think that we probably just need to kind of hold off on that until we see how this advisory process is going, because I think that's going to inform, I mean, our recommendations are going to also be based on what the community is wants.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we can hold off on that until we have a better idea of how this is going to work. Because I think this is going to inform what we do for the rest of for every year. I mean, if we get the input from the community, then we can take that, we can add some of our own ideas if we know of things that might enhance safety, and then present those to the town council and Rich.
I just realized a gap in this. Should members of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee also attend the meeting?
Well,
I don't have anybody listed there, or leave it as is in the process.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we've always talked about, like, what we're doing hopefully is interstitial.
Right.
And eventually, you know, the town takes ownership, town staff takes
Understood.
ownership of what we're doing. So, I don't know, it's a good point.
We could drop in, but again, I agree with you. This is to be structural as to a town practice, not something that would be one-off for this committee.
I agree with that.
Okay.
okay. Alrighty, D, review 2025. I think I'd sent everybody a listing. I've been keeping it on our little drive, all the things that we've been doing. And I don't want to go over all of them, but we have provided a lot of recommendations to RIDOT, to RIPTA, to the town council, to the planning board, to economic development, I think, to the school board over the last year. So I feel pretty good about us getting out there and trying to make some change, make at least people be maybe a little bit more aware of bicycle and pedestrian issues. So hopefully people are thinking about it a little bit more, and hopefully we've been able to help support the town in some of their efforts.
Well, I think it's, when I had to go for my reapproval in front of the town council, I listed many of those items as being some of the activities for the year, and some of the council members looked a bit surprised as
Yeah.
far as the activity of the committee.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're doing that too, and so I think it's helpful to have this listing of what the activities were, and hopefully it's been helpful to you, Luke, too, on when you've reached out to DOT on things like the 138 project, to have any additional input or letters of support.
I think it's always nice to have other outside of government voices, you know, to kind of come along. So you know, it's been helpful and hopefully collaborative over the past year. I feel like it has been. So.
And no small appreciation for everything you've done to
Yeah.
help us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alrighty, new business, setting goals for next year. Now, I think the inventory for the bike path crossings, I think that's certainly something we can tackle. I think, so I had this document here. We had talked, I guess, at the beginning of the last meeting, just because we had some guests, what our charges were. And just to make sure whatever we're doing is touching on those. So we kind of went over those last week. But also in looking at the community comprehensive plan, there are a number of items in there that we can work on, actions that we can work on. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at it, but one of the things that I thought was interesting too is action 1.10, the town's bike pedestrian advisory committee will assess current bike pedestrian infrastructure through evaluation of existing GIS information and site reconnaissance for public rights of way. Ultimately, this work will be used to map and sign additional pedestrian and bike routes. So, I mean, that is something that was identified, something that we can do. Who is our new GIS person? I know that Carol isn't here anymore.
Yeah, we hired a new, it's now under a principal planner role, but Tracy, oh God, you can't touch me. Owens? So she actually came from, she was working for the full-time for the National Guard in facilities planning, but she's very adept at GIS. Actually, many ways probably ahead a little bit, you know, because she's familiar with some of the more modern GIS systems. So far she has rave reviews from a lot of our staff, feel that she's fitting right in.
Yeah.
She's been with us a few months now.
Yeah.
And seems to be fitting into Carol's role. But she's also going to be taking on some planning roles as well, like trying to get her in. She's not as familiar with the planning aspects, so weaving her in. But yeah, she's been helpful.
Yeah.
We also outsourced some of our GIS as far as hosting and management. You probably know, I don't know if you do know, but a few months ago when Carol was leaving, we transitioned over to Access GIS, which is used by many communities, but it's a cloud-based system. We used to be more of an on-prem system, and which was kind of antiquated. So this new system's much faster, a lot more capability, a lot more mapping capabilities. Like if you go on now, you'll notice a difference on a lot of the layering and stuff that you can do, and instead of the drilling down. So there's a lot of good information on there, and she's continuing to build out that system. So
And that's something we have access to.
the public portals,
okay.
yeah, you have full access, and
Right.
there's a ton of data there. I mean, you
Yeah.
can find, you know, pretty much anything you want. The only thing we really restrict is infrastructure because of safety concerns, like obviously water, sewers.
Yeah.
We'll show you the districts that you're in, like what's Veolia, what versus what's Kingston and our own water district, but we won't show you individual lines. I have access to that as an employee, but you wouldn't as a public. But other than that, you have what we have, so you can really drill down and use that system well.
Yeah. I don't know about the group, but I would love to invite her to one of our meetings and just find out how we can use her, you know, those tools, and maybe she can kind of guide us through it. I mean, I go on there sometimes just to see, and you can see where there's public property and where there's private property, and where I know that when we were talking about the route the escape route, Councilmember Wedgemont's plan, you know, there are different ways that you can look at trying to map these things out, and I think she might be helpful in guiding us through that, so you're not looking at each individual property and seeing what who, I don't need to know who owns it, but you know, what are the I mean, are there between land trust and what the town owns and so forth, are there easier ways to get, and parks and rec, you know, easier ways to get from point A to point B if there's a right of way or if there's some kind of cut through.
I believe
So-
you can search the GIS by name as well, so if
Yeah.
you put land trust,
Yeah.
you would have the land trust
That's true.
parcels identified
Yeah.
or municipal.
Well, we have layers, so you can, we have those layers parsed by open space, so you can see what's owned by who. Some of the data analysis you can't do, because it's what's called shape files, so essentially you have to do subtraction of data sets and management of that. That's stuff that we would do, like, if you want to find, you know, what are all the town-owned parcels that are currently in tax title, and like if you want to do a query, you can do some of that stuff. She would have to do that. Like that's back end stuff
Yeah.
that you can start drilling down with GIS and getting crazy. Here's what I would say. As far as bringing her in, I'd rather her, if there's a need, maybe as doing a virtual presentation to all boards and commissions, because I don't want to pick her apart.
No.
You know, because you know she has a day job. So bring her in, like, because what you may share is, like, I think maybe introducing a new system, what you can do, and maybe answering questions like you just had for every board and commission. So that way, you know, she's kind of killing all the birds with one stone. And then if there's certain mapping for a project, like I don't want to have her doing, I'll be frank, she's picked, you know, like all our staff, they're picked apart, right? So if there's a specific project you're working on with me, with us, that you need certain data sets, glad to help out and have her spend her time on it. But I don't want to randomly, because to be honest, I get requests all over the place from every group wanting to do, oh, this is really cool, let's have this map. That's not what she's there for. She's there to do specific mission. Like she does a lot with wastewater. We map, she does the MS4 program, she maps all the manholes and all the data sets there. So there's a lot of stuff during her normal job in a day for the town that she does. So, you know, giving her more special projects just to feel like
I wasn't.
And I know you're not. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just explaining, you know, my rationale.
I
know
kind
you're
of
not.
wanted to say this
just
is
wanna
what
make sure
we
that
want to
she's-
work on.
Yeah. So.
You know, how what's the most efficient way for us to do that?
Yeah, so I think one is, to your point, like learning what you can and can't do through the public portal, I think is helpful because some people are more familiar with it than others. And then if we're working on a special project, you know, and you're working on something, then I'm glad to kind of help facilitate that and get the data, like there's some additional advanced data analysis you need, you can't do through the public portal.
Yeah.
We can certainly do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think the one, you know, we want to slowly get started on it. I think that is the like I said, the escape one. You know, how do we get from Main Street to Matunic?
So I think what you guys have to come up with is think about how you'd approach that. Right, so is it, you know, what data do you want to find? So some of the data is publicly accessible. Start looking at the GIS system and seeing what you can look at. And then as you're going through that, saying, okay, here's what I kind of need to know, but I can't figure out how to get there, right? So are there publicly owned lots in this area that, you know, we could create some sort of, or, you know, it might be a confluence of what's wetlands, what's not wetlands. Like, I don't know what information we're looking for. So that's what you got to get to, like, be able to get the mapping that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yes, we're volunteers.
I know, and actually that's why I say all this is that's a lot of work.
It is.
It's a lot of work for staff.
But I mean,
right? We
it's-
do this full time. And we don't have enough hours in a day.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, you know, like we've got to kind of. It's a big project. The escape plan. Let me be honest. The escape
Yeah,
plan, like I could hire, you know, Ken knows this. I could hire a consulting firm, and it would cost me $100,000 to do this plan, because they would have to do this type of data analysis. It's like looking out the roadways. Here's your options. What's the best option? I mean, you see what's going on in Narragansett on just a short stretch, right? And then you gotta propose it in front of somebody's house or behind their house because there's a right of way there they didn't know about. So I'm not trying to poo-poo the plan. I think it's
Yeah.
a good effort. It's just, how do we wanna approach that plan? And it's like, how do you eat an elephant? You take the small bites. I think your first step is kind of looking at what's publicly accessible and how do you guys wanna approach that project if you're gonna tackle it this year.
I think you say that quote to us every single meeting.
What's that? The elephant? Well, because it's apt, right? There's a lot of work there, and it's like,
He's missing dinner right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's because I'm always hungry. I just, I think in order to be successful, you got to kind of break things down. It's hard,
Yeah.
All right.
Otherwise, you just get
I just
overwhelmed.
wanted to have some, I'm looking at this and I saw
Yeah.
that evaluate existing GIS information and I thought, okay, well, let's.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go on a
That's okay.
diatribe there.
Can I get a nickel tour of what the escape plan is?
Okay, that's, oh, I thought you were you at the meeting where, no, okay.
No, he was not. But
Okay.
so
So just,
Because Jay
just a
was
quick, I
there.
don't wanna.
Okay, it's
Wail on this.
it's a hopeful plan to connect Main Street north of Route 1
Yeah.
to residents south of Route 1 and
Oh,
get
so
and to
somehow get
some
over
kind of
or under Route 1?
yes,
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
and
okay. Yeah,
also
okay,
have
gotcha.
an off-road, mostly off-road path for bicyclists and pedestrians to get to the town beach.
Yep, okay.
it's mostly the town beach, secondarily East Matunic, and tertiary pulling the town together with off-road connections.
You had to pull that up really quick. Very impressed with you.
Look,
Pull that escape plan up fast.
here's a copy of it right here.
We can,
It's not that big.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Jay Wedgemont's master's thesis.
Yep.
So
Okay, I
So-
get it, I understand. Yeah.
So we
Thanks.
went on from initial goals for 2026.
Yes. So,
Would be.
well, we can't do all of this.
no.
But I just wanted us to know that some of the things that the community comprehensive plan is asking of us, in addition to work that we've already done with the master plan, which we probably should update.
Mhm.
Okay, so action 1.12, BPAC will develop a master plan that includes methodology for prioritizing locations for future bike pedestrian infrastructure investments. And it's a huge, it's a huge part of what the community comprehensive plan is asking is BPAC putting together a master plan. Action 113, the town shall amend regulations to require the installation of attractive bike facilities for residential developments of 6 units or greater for any commercial. See, now that sounds like it's a planning board.
Planning and zoning.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything we can do along those lines to facilitate that moving forward.
Is this a hard action that the town is supposed to take, or is this something to be promoted?
It's in the community it's a plan, it's a hope. Explain it.
But has the community
It's up to you to
comprehensive
explain.
plan, has the community
Aspirational.
comprehensive plan been approved of by the town council?
Yes, in 2021.
So these are standing action items. So when you see something like that and they considered however many unit apartment complex across from the train station in the Schneider Electric building, we'll call it that, with close proximity to the bike path would be something where they should look to enforce that action item, which was approved by the town council, but since it's 6 units or greater.
Yeah.
So it is a hard standing approved by the town council, not something that requires promotion. 1-13 on the page 1, 2, 3, 4, bottom of page 4. They say the size and location of the development, and the location is in close proximity to the bike path.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, that's easy.
So bike facilities, what does that mean?
I mean,
Bike
it's,
racks?
well,
Bike,
right, at a minimum, it's bike racks, or it depends on how they're building their homes, and, you know, I mean, we're looking at this in Graduate Village. It could be just an enclosed area, kind of like a carport, you know, I mean, it's all scalable.
yep.
I think the issue for me is just you compel, it's not like the planning board, the planning staff don't get it, they do. It's really the instruction direction you give to the developer, say you need to meet these minimal criteria before you even step foot in the planning department door.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as, you know, there's this type of language that then compels the developer to come back and say, all right, hey, I've only got 6 units or whatever, and it's age restricted or whatever, or right out in the middle of the sticks. Well, you force them to write a justification as to why they are going to do something or not do something, and then the planning staff is.
Do you think that this is already something that the planning staff has as a check?
I mean, I think professionally they look at these things. They look at all the things. So I don't know in the subdivision regs where this type of thing would.
Because it
land.
says amend regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question was something like this, would be the development on Holly Street. Is that 6 units, or would that be something that would have fallen underneath this if the regulations had been amended to include that?
I mean, sure. Each one of those is a quad, right?
Each one's a quad. And then
I mean, at the end of the day,
there's 6, that's 24 units.
Is there a means by which we ask, rather than trying to determine it here, we ask the planning board if all these points are now points of consideration or enforcement?
Yeah, I mean, the master plan's supposed to be updated every 5 years, and I will tell you, a lot of this stuff gets generated during public meetings, right? And I'm assuming, you know, Kenny, you were a part of that process. I don't know if you guys were, but there's a lot of public meetings that go along with this, and there's a lot of ideas thrown about. And so some of those ideas get into this document, and some are aspirational, but quite honestly, may not be practical, or even over time realize is doable. I'll give you an example. Like the old standard for residential development was a minor development was 5 units or less. That's been amended now. So there's administrative control. I believe it's now up to 10 units because we've relaxed regulations, and then that's the state relaxing those regulations. So I honestly don't know how this would rub against that, and whether it's in the planning board's sort of realm to tackle this. Like, this would be planning board to amend regulations. They're looking at regulations on landscaping and other things, right? But as far as bike facilities, I don't know, that would be a question for them. Like, is this something that's really rising to the top of what we want to tackle? I think to Ken's point, they do tackle them kind of on a one-off basis because it may not make sense. I mean, 6 units isn't a lot of units. I mean, that's a very small neighborhood. Do you need bike facilities with 6 houses on a cul-de-sac? I don't know if you do, you know, so I think the planning board's approach is, you know, they try to work with developers to do what makes sense. And sometimes that's the better approach, as opposed to say wield the hammer for everybody. But to go to this, to your point, I don't know where a lot of these fall into the plan, like a lot of this is a planning document.
Right.
A lot of this is planning board.
Right.
I understand some areas of this does say BPAC too, you know, and I'm assuming some members from BPAC were in on those comp plan meetings, which is probably why it got incorporated into the document as, hey, we want to be proactive in these efforts.
Okay, so, go ahead.
So that would be something when just the fact that it's aspirational makes all the difference in the world versus rule of law.
Yeah. So actions 2.1, 2.2, I mean, these are kind of complete streets. mentions. So that's, I don't know if that's something we want to revisit. That's a,
Can I ask, what do we want to do with this document? Because there's, I mean,
I just wanted everybody to be aware that these are things that we have our charges, that these are things that we, on the first page, that we are to, this is what we're doing. And then the rest of the document is me just pointing out that these are things that we can decide if we want to tackle them,
Okay.
next year. If,
Yeah.
what kind of focus do we're, 4-person group, and, what is it that we can do? And what do we want to focus on?
I think I would put on this one, because I'm looking through this. Action 113 is the only hard and fast one in there as far as a shall amend, and others are shall work with, shall consider, shall this. That's the
Explore.
that's the only one without a qualifier in it, of the whole thing. But I would recommend that the action item be where appropriate, reach out with the planning board regarding the actual implementation and status of some of these recommendations or action items.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you, to make that the next step, to do the outreach and get informed as to what's in place?
What they already have, what they're already asking for developers, is that what you're?
Yes, as to what is effectively in place or under review for being put in place, and get the determination so we know what this committee can recommend off of. Work for the rest of the committee?
yeah.
So that's an action item for 2026. In place or in development, okay.
Here's the 124 is the one, action 2-4 is the one that talks about going over. The town shall work with RIDOT to explore and report on the feasibility, costs, and benefits of constructing pedestrian and bike path that bridges over or tunnels under Route 1. So, that's,
So that's,
that's the town shall work with RIDOT. That doesn't mean, obviously, we want to help if we can.
and so a lot of these, we may want to review this and put it into 2025, 26 language. Because that would be equivalent, the over and under Route 1, that's huge, but that would be equivalent to what the escape plan would be. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So and then the commuter rail. There's a lot of things here.
Well, I only put in blue the ones that I thought we would,
Work
some
on.
of
Yeah.
them have nothing to do with bike pedestrian. I thought the other one that would be good would be action 2-6, which is street lighting in certain areas, and certainly at crossings, at crosswalks. That's kind of huge in some ways, especially. Just today we were leaving Upper Campus, and there's good lighting there, but there's people just start walking. It's dark out. People they wear their black jackets, and there's not a whole lot you can do there. But I know there are places around town that could use more better lighting, so that could be something that we can that we can look at as far as bike and pedestrian crossings.
Just so I can understand, again, this whole document correctly, you have the mission
Yeah.
and the charges.
Right.
the community comprehensive plan
That's what the rest
was
of it.
approved, you're saying.
Mhm.
We have goal, policy, action. So is the column under policy what the town approved, and then the actions are for BPAC?
That's,
What is this column, which runs through each page, versus the action mean? Policy is what was the
Yeah.
town approved.
right, the policy. I don't know if the town approved it or if it's an aspirational kind of policy.
All right, I'll have to research.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I know that I wanted to use this just as a way for us to see that the town, that there is a plan
Mhm.
to get some of this done, and where are the areas that we can help.
Nice work.
So,
This is
so-
opening up a lot for us.
yeah. I mean, we can't do everything, but I mean, I think that we can look at some of the things that are in here and say, okay, well, we can work on that. I mean, it's kind of frustrating because Ken and those before me, worked on the complete streets and the master plan. And I think we could certainly work on updating that, but then to what, maybe we have a different group of folks at the town council that are gonna be more open to it. But I think that we should certainly update our master plan.
Just to take into consideration the changes that have occurred. For instance, e-bikes. That's a big change. We actually have somebody who on the town council who's advocating for connection between south and north of Route 1. So we have a bunch of changes here, that the ability to use more money from the state to have a consistent crossings at the bike path, so that there's a lot of having this in alignment to the changes that have been happening would be great. Not my brain power.
Yeah, I think it's like, I always use analogies. It's like a birthday cake. So we baked the birthday cake 7 years ago. It's a 7-year-old birthday cake. Nobody wants to eat it. We could bake another birthday cake. It's probably going to be just the same, with the exception of newer things, just as you mentioned.
Just sparkly candles and a little bit more.
Sparkles. Yeah, no, it's
LEDs.
LED lights.
you know what's really
Instead of
important
incandescent.
is that you get people around the table and eat the cake. We serve the cake up. You looked at it, one of Martha's cake. Didn't eat it. So it's
But I think we've been kind of picking away at
Everyone
some of the.
became vegans.
Oh, it'll be gluten free. It's fine. We'll figure it out. No, I like your points. The e-bikes is absolutely a thing. We were just talking about biking on the path at night. And that's
night bike,
forth.
yeah.
Basically, as Chris had mentioned a couple meetings ago, there's an existing law in the book that prescribes safety features. So you don't have to. The town doesn't have to change anything. There's mechanisms. So there's bits and pieces of information we've learned along the way that could help springboard us from the very laborious effort, and then just say, okay, well, here's some new things, and how do we move forward from there? We say an update. I would hope that it's not a complete reboot, because that's a lot of work. And as Luke and Jimmy Rabbit had pointed out when we first made the pitch to adopt this, if you want to do like a professional grade master plan, that's
Hundreds of thousands.
yeah, it's a ton of money. So that's why we over time drifted to let's just do low to no cost improvements. So, but I like the theme that you're on.
Yeah. We can update it, just
Yeah,
make sure that
we can.
it's relevant.
Yeah.
It could be amendment. And
Amendment,
update it,
yeah.
it's like or
More.
something. We can figure that out at some point.
And then just the last thing on here, which is something that actually we were talking about earlier, which was it's Action 3.7. The town shall explore amending regulations to incorporate standards for increasing pedestrian and bicycle access and connectivity between adjoining commercial properties and between commercial properties and surrounding residential neighborhoods in a coordinated manner. So that was a little bit kind of the form-based code that, I mean, this isn't on us. This is just
So
us
basically,
being aware that the
we want-
town is, has considered taking this action.
so we want to use this as background to do what we want to do.
It's
Support us.
backup, yeah,
It's
it is.
backup.
Well, it is.
When we pick out something, we can look at this and say, what is it? What can we gather from here to support us
Yeah.
in doing it?
Yeah.
And if it's not there, then maybe we shouldn't do it.
That's true.
A suggestion to Neil's point, a lot of this falls on others.
Right,
And those others are doing a lot of work in other categories, right?
right.
But you're an advisory group, you can certainly keep on the thought of just being the constant reminder to those groups of saying, hey, as a reminder, these things are in the comp plan, and as a reminder, these things are important. So when you have time, or if you can make time, here's some things that we'd like to see it move, and what are the things you'd like to see move forward more than others? Because everyone appreciates prioritization, right? Because when everything, a wise boss once told me, when everything's a priority, nothing is. So, the truth is, everyone has a lot to do, but, you move the ball a little bit. So I think even just being that group that's the constant reminder is still doing something. Like, you don't have to do it. You just have to be the one that's constantly bringing it to the table, and hopefully, like, a small bit gets moved forward. Maybe it's one of these things. Community master plans are lofty, and there's a lot. That's why they work on 20-year timeframes, and they're updated every 10. You're lucky to get a handful of things done out of that document by the time you hit 10 years. Planning works in slow cycles. So you can't get discouraged by that. They're meant to be lofty because, big ideas type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Think big, we do. But that, he's not paying attention.
Didn't even crack
Big,
it.
no, I got it.
But,
Two.
I just, just to go back to what you were saying, I think part of it, there is value to that, of just being that group that keeps it on the table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was kind of a lot
Yeah.
of what we did this year.
Yeah,
So,
and that's big. That's what the communications are for. It's a good thing you're a great writer.
I don't know about that. But anyway, so I think, January, our next meeting, we'll kind of hone in on some of these. And you guys can take a closer look at everything. But hopefully in January, we'll have back from Luke, the communications plan for CIP. We
Mhm.
can,
Well,
because
we
I
can
think
look at
that
what's out there, but the input from the
from staff.
staff regarding the proposal. Okay.
Yeah, and then, hopefully that will generate some interest in maybe March or April. We can get something actually on the books to
Sure.
communicate with those folks that are in those on those roads that are being considered
Mm-hmm.
improvement. So, alrighty, number 8, do we have any more info, Luke, on Safe Streets for All Main Street?
No.
No.
We had, I think I shared the roadway safety assessment for Liberty Lane and all that. So that was part of that effort, paid for through that effort.
Okay.
So we didn't pay anything for that. There's also, I'll share out, they're now complete with that whole project. They did share out kind of a nice consolidated website of all the SS4 sort of work
Okay.
In a more layman type of terms, we're gonna actually be issuing a social media post, I think it's going out tomorrow night, basically telling the community, hey, this effort's done, here's a website that kind of shows what we did in more of a user-friendly fashion. I have not heard back on the grants. I don't even know if they'll materialize at this point, given the current state of things. So we'll see. But, you know, I think we got a lot out of it. I actually think, you know, some of these efforts kind of are just paper tigers. In this case, I do feel like we got some actionable goals out of the report, and hopefully we can use it to our advantage. So, yeah.
Alrighty. We talked about the master plan, collaboration with other committees. Has anybody attended any or wants to attend or feels that we should? I know at one point when we had more folks, we had liaisons for a lot of the different departments, and we would just report. We'd check in with our liaison, like for the police department or Parks and Rec or whatever, and then, you know, report back what they were up to, anything that had to do with bike and pedestrian issues. And we've gotten away from doing that, but that's something we can look at again in the future.
If we get more people.
Yeah, because it's a lot. Alrighty. Local regional developments. I had a question on that, Luke. What is the best way to find out when there's a new project coming before the planning board?
So,
I couldn't figure it out on the website.
well, we have all the development projects listed on the website. So anything that's in process as far as applications, we actually have the full packages on here. We are moving, or going to be moving, the whole state, we're a little behind, is moving to an e-planning system. So like e-permitting, applicants will be able to go into OpenGov, file for their applications like a building permit. And a lot of that's publicly viewable. So when they put in an application, we can link to that, and you can view everything that's on the submittal. So you can view the applications online. Planning board meetings, so that's the biggest one, is we post the agendas. Everything's linked to those agendas. So, and especially the new agenda software, which I'll go over in a minute with you guys, that system links everything. So you can click in and you can see all the supportive documents, all the plan submissions, whatever. Typically they start out at a very low level stage, either it's a pre-application stage or a master plan level stage, so you're kind of introductory. But it does require effort. I mean, you can't, you know, there's no one who's going to spoon feed you this information and say, hey, here's this project coming down the pipe. Maybe you hear about it because like a larger project like the Snyder Electric one has been out there and in the paper. But there's dozens that fly under the radar, you know, small residential developments or smaller commercial, things like that. There's a lot of volume. So even for a small community, there's a lot of volume. So you really got to monitor the planning site, and the agendas is really the way.
Okay.
There's just no other good way to.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Dorothy, I can check, but I got an in with the planning board,
Yeah.
so I can't.
I wouldn't wanna.
Well, I gotta. That's what I mean. I gotta
Yeah.
check to see whether that's.
I mean, certainly
appropriate,
they
but-
can, you know, even them, they don't sometimes know what's coming down until the agenda.
Right.
You know, like the planning staff, I mean, they're literally, I was just talking to Brian Wagner about this today, because we lost Jay Parker, so now we're down. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that. but
No.
he left about a month ago. He went to Weston and Sampson. So we're down a planner. And so a lot of what we do, you know, isn't sitting here thinking about pie dream plans, you know, what
Right.
can we do? A lot of it's processing applications, which are statutory deadlines. Like we have a certain amount of time to issue a certificate of completion. We have a certain amount of time to get down on the agenda. So a lot of it is trying to feed the board and trying to get everything teed up and prepared on these applications. So that's where the bulk majority of planning time is spent, is really just trying to get applications in front of the planning board. So sometimes the planning board doesn't know what they're going to be viewing until, you know, the board meeting itself. So and that's why I say the best avenue is really to monitor those agendas and see what's coming up, you know. And unfortunately, where the planning process goes, and with the new enhancements or whatever through the state, it's almost made it harder because the timelines are even quicker than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they eliminated the master plan process now, which you really should go back to because it, really by preliminary, like when I was a planner, typically we viewed master plan as the first shot of saying, okay, here's what our opinion of this whole thing.
Yeah.
You need to kind of go back and rework. By the time you hit preliminary, the plan was pretty much baked. They had most of their permits in place. The plan was in pretty good shape. Finals really for tweaking. So they eliminated that whole first step. So now they're coming in and they've got, pretty well baked plan. So
Yeah.
developers don't love it either because if you kick them back at that stage, they already spent a lot of money. They
Yeah.
might think their plan's the best thing since sliced bread and you're poking holes in it and they don't appreciate it. So it's all that's to say is monitor the agendas.
Okay. So if somebody, just for the next meeting, or any future meetings, if there are developments or anything that you see that, and you take a look at it and you say, oh, something's missing, or maybe we should point out something, let's bring it up and then let's, act on it. If we can, if it's appropriate.
Mhm.
Alrighty, anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to really briefly talk about, so we as an entire town are moving to a new agenda management software. So a lot of the boards and commissions, so the town council is an agenda tiger for us because everything's linked, and so we've traditionally had Clerk-based for our agenda management software, which many of you are familiar with. You go in, you can see old agendas, you can see minutes and whatnot. That system became very antiquated. It's literally somebody in the garage kind of retyping everything from a Word document into their system. And so we needed to create a better workflow system internally. So we invested in a new system about 6-8 months ago. Civic Clerk, which is actually Civic Plus, is our website. We use Civic Rec for our rec management now. And Civic Clerk made a lot of sense for us because it ties into the website and will give us some efficiency there. So how does it affect you? All boards and commissions are now getting pulled into the system. So where it was before, some were doing it Microsoft Word and some were doing different agendas, we now have a standard format. Everyone's using the same system. Right now it's a little wonky because we're in a bridge, right? I had sent out an email through the system. I'm testing it, right? So you should have received like a non-reply email type of thing from Civic Plus saying, hey, here's the agenda. I don't know if you did get it. Did you get it?
I got it.
Okay. So just be aware that you might get something through the Civic Clerk system. So it's not spam, it's your agenda. Eventually, right now we don't have Civic Clerk kind of posted up front on the website as sort of our agenda management because we haven't fully implemented it yet. It's going to be fully implemented when council gets on board by February. So we're kind of transitioning slowly into it. This is change management, right? Change is hard. The good thing is there's a board portal, so you can use it to take notes on the agenda. Like we're going to open that up, so you as a board will have back-end access to keep notes and everything in this system. It's a cloud-based system, so like during the meeting, you can keep notes on agenda items and everything, and you have your own sign-in. So it can stay there with the agenda. The agendas, like I'm going to have to work them up. So you can still give them to me in a Word format, but don't worry so much about formatting and stuff. Just be like, here's the items I want, boom, 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 and I'll put them into this portal. And that way, it'll get generated. The other thing that's nice is you can link things at like a packet, just like the town council does. So traditionally, you wouldn't do that, right? We'd send things through email or whatever. I attached the minutes this time, and I just hot linked it in because it's very easy to drop in documents so the public can view that as well. So you're operating a little bit more in line with what the council's doing or the planning board's doing. Every board and commission is kind of operating that way now, so it's a little bit more front-facing. So I think it'll be a better thing. There's a public portal. You can see all the meetings on that public portal, so it'll be a little bit more user-friendly. Right now it's not because we haven't really posted it out to the public. What you saw was kind of an internal preview, right? You just saw the agenda and you saw kind of a back end. We're still working out the tweak. We're still tweaking it and working out the bugs and learning the system. So just be aware, like I said, it's going to be a transition. Clerk-based will remain for repository only. So after like February, March, we're going to have them, like you'll still be able to search the old files, but essentially everything moving forward, you can still search, but it'll be under the new system. So
So what does that mean for minutes?
Nothing
Tools
really.
like-
The one good thing is it also has a minute taker in the software. So it actually will pull up the electronic agenda and you can register votes, you can take minutes, everything live time. So if you want to do that, we can
Yeah.
do that. So I think it's a really value because everything by the end of the meeting, you're pretty much
You're
done
done.
with your minutes. And that's another reason we're going to the software. It's very intertwined, like it's very efficient software for running many meetings. So I'm still getting through that end of it. So I'll circle back once I'm kind of up and running on that, but we're all kind of learning together in this boat.
For your workload, you mentioned for the agenda, send you the agenda. Going forward, will a member of the committee actually input the agenda, or does it have to be a staff member of the town?
Right now, it's a staff member of the town. I'm unclear on whether we're gonna open it up for individuals because there's a little bit of a learning curve there to get into the system, but I'm glad to give it to somebody, but I gotta talk to the IT director about like accessing that end of it. Cause there's different permissions that you can set up. You can restrict just that, cause there's other things that not appropriate for you to see. So I gotta just check on that.
Yeah, my question is only for minimizing your workload.
Yeah,
If there
yeah,
is an
I mean, I'm
avenue to
happy.
do so.
The good thing is your agenda primarily doesn't change all that much. It's not that heavy of a lift. And to be
Okay.
honest, a lot of times I reformat it and do little tweaks anyway, so it's
Okay.
fine. You know, you guys do, the heavy lift is just knowing what's gonna be on there, right? But for me to spend 15 minutes to pop the agenda in, and, you know, I still have to post it to the Secretary of State, which I do, you know, post it internally, because I gotta post 2 hard copies. I gotta post one here, one at the library. So there's a whole, you know,
Okay.
it's not government isn't as simple as saying, we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow, so. But which is all good. This is a good system. I think you'll ultimately like it, and what you'll find too, every board and commission is gonna be listed here. And it links directly to the calendar, so when I post the agenda, or I can set up events in advance through this system, and then you just link up the agendas. So you'll see it on the calendar. We kinda do that now, but we have individual calendars, it's a little bit mucky. It's gonna kinda streamline things, so.
Okay.
It's the boring things we do in government that matter, I guess, you know.
Mhm.
But Dorothy brought up some concerns, and they're rightfully so. Like, we're trying to get better at front facing. Like, we're a customer service agency, so we should always be looking to improve our transparency and sort of simplify the way we go with things. I think ultimately when we implement this, it will be a lot simpler.
Yeah.
What you saw was a little bit messy because we're not there yet.
Did you have to set up an account in order
No,
to see
he
it?
just put it as a link in my email.
Yeah,
You did.
there was a
Yeah.
link.
There's
Yep.
a link in the email, and then I got
You said,
the agenda and the packet.
okay. I
There's
thought
a
you
public-
said that there was an email that was coming from Civic Plus.
So I sent a notification out from Civic Plus to the board members that you should have received saying, here's the packet, I'm testing a new
Okay,
system.
that's what I'm
Let
wondering
me
if
show
you
you
saw,
what I
because,
saw.
okay,
I'll have to look. Like I said, I've
Yeah.
been away for almost 2 months.
That's okay.
yeah.
So, but it's a public, so you guys, our emails are already in there, so you should have like a little bit more back-end access. But
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need an account. Like any member of the public, once we roll this out, there's a public portal that lists all the meetings that have
Yeah.
There's a
coming up,
civic clerk.
and you can click right on it.
Okay.
And
Okay,
Let me see what you're seeing.
okay, but you're looking at something that's from,
oh, so I replied to that one.
okay,
It's now in a thread. I hate threads, but this is what I got from Luke.
Yep, yeah. And there's
right, from you,
attachments.
but I was looking for something that was from,
It actually wasn't from Luke. It's from Civic Clerk.
okay, okay,
And then
All right, I
there's 2
didn't get that.
attachments, that's the agenda packet and the agenda separately. So
Yeah.
it's right there.
I'll look again, but I didn't.
So that's
okay.
just simply giving you the agenda as an attachment.
Okay.
But you will have a login, so you can get to the agendas. You can also get to it through the public portal.
Okay.
So,
And when is our next meeting scheduled for? January?
16th? Is that right?
Oh, I've got the 8th.
Yeah, it's an early month, Monday.
Because
let's see,
the first
Thursday.
is on a,
Yeah, it's an early
is on a
meeting.
Thursday.
So I don't
January
know, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get with Rich and them before, just because of varying schedules with the holidays. So I may or may not be able to get that meeting done before then. It might be February,
Okay.
'cause that meeting's early.
Well, I'll get you the document with the minor amendment.
Yeah,
and you'll be-
give me the, I'll
ship
see
it
what I
tomorrow.
can do. I just wanna be realistic.
Sure.
Time
Actually,
ticks fast.
January next.
8:04. Okay, did somebody make a motion to?
Oh, someone's been really quiet around.
I know.
Motion to adjourn.
Usually that's Ken.
Second.
There you go.
All in favor? Okay, 8:05. Okay. I'm sorry, everybody. I really was